What's going on, guys? This is Egg Reviews here for a new idea we had for a podcast. Joining me once again, junior consultant Mike Adams.
Yee, and I cannot stress this enough. Ha.
And the reason we decided to do something was we both just saw tonight Ralph Breaks the Internet, the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. The original Wreck-It Ralph is a movie that he and I both love.
Top 3 Disney movies of all time, baby.
I agree, and we have a lot of thoughts on it. So I just thought before we are going to do a formal review that should be up hopefully by next week. No promises.
Just initial thoughts.
So we just thought it would be cool to do kind of an initial thoughts on the movie. So what we'll do first is we'll just kind of do our pre-spoiler thoughts before we kind of do a more deep dive, but this is more of an initial reaction, so we'll try to keep it brief. But without spoiling anything, I'll let you go first. What did you think?
Definitely. Now, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Worse than the first one, because the first one I hold in such a high regard, but this one, it made a lot of changes that are more spoilery that we'll go into later, but it's like, I'll say, like, a lot of the lessons were very on the nose and, like, it was more directed towards kids than in general audiences like the first one was. So it was more average to me because it like hit a lot of high highs, but it hit a couple really low lows, which I kind of expected. What about you?
I mostly agree with him. You'll see that we're not going to really disagree on too much. I flat out, I liked the movie, I would say. I definitely don't hate this at all. I think it was... I mean, the good thing about Disney right now is they're just okay is still a lot better than a lot of different companies can do. So
their worst is just,
Yeah, it's like, It's still... I think, even though it's on the nose, I think the message is a good one for kids.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of just, like, there's a lot of just like cute heartfelt moments, I think, and that's kind of the voice acting again, just like the first one, is on par.
Animation is really good.
I love the animation. I really appreciate that they do keep with the 8-bit characters, the fact that they move like they do. A 3D 8-bit person,
and like their music from 8-bit to like actual, I think it's orchestral, don't quote me on that, or as orchestral as it can be.
What's the composer's name? Henry Jackson?
I think so, yeah.
He was back to do this one, and phenomenal. And I don't think it's a spoiler. If any of you follow personal things, I do have to say I am very disappointed that they didn't invite Owl City back to do another song on the soundtrack.
Dragons.
Imagine Dragons. That's a great substitute. Anyway, so let's go into, I guess, our more spoilery initial reactions. I'll kind of lead it off with something that you and I both talked about going into, before we even saw the movie, was you had expressed this, and I agreed, that inevitably with a concept like this of going into the internet, which is inevitably a culture that changes immediately.
Like you immediately date yourself as soon as you put anything out there, unless it's like a defined classic.
Yeah, so Mike had said this to me before we both saw this a few weeks ago, I think it was. He just kind of said, like, I'm concerned that it's gonna immediately be dated, and I agree with him because if any fans of the channel remember, I reviewed the Emoji Movie, which I had said from the first trailer. I said, okay, this might be the ideas of the Emoji Movie done with an actual sense of care and quality, which I would still say, like, coming out of it, I definitely think that it has...
It's like polishing a trash can, though.
Yeah, it's still not the best of ideas, but they definitely... Disney, at least right now, and in 2000... I've read some people saying that, like, around the time of Wreck-It Ralph coming out was when Disney started to kind of be cool again and started to care about their ideas. And it definitely, they Disney-fied it, they cleaned it up, they made it you can tell that they care. Is kind of what I'm saying. Like, absolutely in this, like it doesn't feel corporate. I mean, there's a few. When we get into more of the plot, there's a few moments where they're kind of stroking their ego a little bit. You can
definitely tell where they hit the notes that they were required to hit. Kind of thing. You can tell like when the writers were just going with it, and when like, oh, you gotta add this. You can tell.
But like you can definitely tell that everyone involved with this cared about what they were producing,
especially the animators.
Absolutely, the animators. So, plot-wise, I mean, the trailer kind of gives it away. But if you haven't seen the trailer, the synopsis, if you will, is it's, what did they say, 6 years after the...
Is it that long?
I thought they talked about the passage of time in it.
It was past.
I think it was my sister, who also saw it and is listening to us recording in the kitchen, thumbs up for 6 years. So I think it was 6 years, which is weird because it's actually the amount of time since the first movie came out. So it's been 6 years. So I think it's supposed to take place in 2018. Mm-hmm. And Ralph and Vanellope are the best of friends, but Vanellope, weirdly enough, is experiencing kind of what Ralph was.
Not really. It's more of like...
Well, it's not entirely.
But she's not having an identity crisis.
Yeah, she's not having an identity crisis, but similar to Ralph in the first movie, which, by the way, I watched the first movie literally last night in preparation for this. She's not having an identity crisis, I agree, but she's definitely like, I'm stuck in a rut of doing the same thing over and over and over again. She's kind of sick of the easy racing life, and they have a very insane routine of like, they go to work and then they spend the whole night together, then they go back to work. And Ralph's loving his life, but Vanellope's definitely not satisfied.
And right away, we get the first twang of real problem I got with the central conflict. It's like, and Ralph it's a throwaway line at first. It's like, what, I'm not good enough? It's kind of like a joke, and they laugh about it. And I'm like, oh no. Oh, don't go down this route, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, so in the arcade, the owner purchases a Wi-Fi router.
In 2018, that's the first time he's getting Wi-Fi? Okay.
I mean...
he's old school, I get it.
He's very old school, so... I mean, weirdly, that the computer, when they did the layout for the computer, looked like it was from the 80s.
No, that was a Windows XP, not an XP, that was a Windows 95 computer. Ooh.
Yeah. But so it's the first time they have the internet, and it's immediately quarantined as too dangerous.
Because they don't know anything about it, obviously.
Because they don't know anything about it. And in an attempt to help Vanellope, Ralph inadvertently broke Sugar Rush.
He tried to make a new track for Vanellope, and
the game broke because
Vanellope like was controlling the car, but also the person playing was controlling the car, and it broke off the steering wheel. Most important part. And
the steering wheel broke, and like it really like broke in half, and the problem, the beginning conflict that starts everything out, that gets the ball rolling, is the company that made Sugar Rush is out of business, so he can't buy the new part. But they found one in the entire world, I guess.
They only looked on eBay.
But I think it's alluded to that it's the entire world. There's only one steering wheel for Sugar Rush left. So they're going to go into the internet and get the part, send it to Litwax, so he'll keep the game plugged in, even though, I mean, he alludes to the fact that the game is losing him money, so it's almost selfish in some respect.
Well, it's like, no, he said it's not making him enough money to buy the part.
To warrant the part, yeah.
Because it was $200 and the game doesn't even make that much in a year, so it's like it's not worth repairing it to keep it running, so he'd rather just scrap it.
So
they go in.
They go into the internet, and first of all, immediately we both turned to each other and said, like, the way that they are visualizing the internet is brilliant.
And it's like each individual site has its own like stylized environment. Like the hub world is like kind of like the Oasis from Ready Player One, but that's good. It's like a little hub. Everyone comes in with their little, I'm going to call it Bitmojis.
Yeah.
It's not, but like pop figures. They look exactly like pop figures.
They looked kind of like pop figures, or I think it weirdly looked, I don't remember what it was, but I feel like I remember something with that same blocky style.
You know the show Clarence? You know the
nerdy kid? I don't.
It's like a really
but
square
I feel like
really
Disney has done something with those avatars before. I just can't remember what it is.
I don't know.
But really good stylized way of thinking and way of portraying the internet, and like each
Instagram's like an art gallery, and like Pinterest has like a bunch of like clipboards on the walls and stuff like that. The search bar is a little bar. I like that character. Yeah, I forget his name though, but
it's a search bar. It's the internet, and like it's a really creative way of doing it. And they go to eBay. We shouldn't do it the entire plot, but like
it's a synopsis.
Basically, they go into eBay. They stupidly spend $27,000 on something that was being auctioned off for $200.
And God, it's just the more I think about it, it's more like this is the setup we got. All right, that's cool.
Well, yeah. Because I mean, Ralph is always supposed to be portrayed as
an idiot.
Which
he is, but it's
like they think that the goal of the auction is just to say bigger numbers and not strategically just be like more money.
Yeah.
But like, and then the plot gets going. They go into this. What did you say? It was a mix of. What did we say? It was a mix of GTA and
Doom.
And Doom, of like this hyper aggressive online console racing game. Vanellope loves it. Wants to hang out there. Gal Gadot is there. I mean, it's not Gal Gadot.
No, the animation on her hair was really good, though.
It was really good. Disney animation is always so just nice to look at.
Yeah.
Like, and hijinks ensues, and we'll kind of like, as we go on into our thoughts, kind of hit more points. They at one point go to a YouTube-esque app, which was very weird because BuzzTube.
When they did Buzz Foods earlier,
and they showed BuzzFeed, and then they showed YouTube. Yeah, it's like a kid. One thing that I give them credit for, and this is what I wanted them to do because they did it in the first Wreck-It Ralph.
There's a lot of background detail.
It's not like in the Emoji Movie where like these characters from these or like we're gonna go into Candy Crush now. Like they're not pivotal plot points. They're like references if you want to look for them. But they go into this weird hybrid of like, I guess it's supposed to be BuzzFeed and YouTube
and Instagram,
but
it's everything.
It's like it's a weird mix of social medias. But the other thing too is like they show YouTube exists in this world.
Yeah.
So like, and I know it's a movie, but like I definitely was like,
they couldn't get a brand deal with one of them, so they had to go with like a non-copy, like a big enough brand deal.
Yeah.
With one of them,
so they paid enough to use the logo, but they couldn't make it part of that. But I also that's better and that's worse when it comes to
they have more creative freedom with it.
Yeah.
Like you can just like make stuff up for the plot.
They make their own rules when they make it.
And like this section has a lot of good. There's like little mini lessons sprinkled in everywhere. Like this kind of teaches a little bit about like they go over viruses at one point.
Yeah,
that's pivotal later. But it's like it's teaching a little bit about internet safety, and it's teaching at one point Ralph has to make a bunch of videos to make money.
Viral videos, which hurts.
Yeah,
that section hurts. I'm not gonna lie.
He does the floss. They mentioned Fortnite, and
they mentioned Fortnite, and I think the video was supposed to be Ralph does all of the Fortnite dances. I don't know how many of them.
No, he did. The only one I saw was the floss, but like they show the battle bus at one point.
Hurt. That hurt.
No, come on, stop. I get it. I get it's popular, but it's like
Fortnite is already becoming dated. Like, and it hasn't even been big for a year.
Watching Ralph do the floss hurt me.
Yeah. Because as much heart as this movie has, which it's still, I think even you agree, like some of it's not earned, but it still has.
It's still there, but I think it's mostly because we know his back. Like it's only because of the first movie that I care about this movie, even the slightest bit.
But those things just hurt because it's like
it really drags it down.
Just a brief aside. any brand that associates with Fortnite hurts me.
See, the thing is, with the first movie, they had, like, you know, the obvious, like, Candy Crush and Mario Kart thing. They had, like, original ideas just that, like, alluded to other things, but it wasn't like, look at this, video games. Like, they threw Sonic in there in the first game, but he was like, if you die outside your game, you die in, like,
spewed exposition. He spewed exposition a little bit in this. I don't mind Sonic in it because I just think it's funny because, I mean, they're nailing what Sonic was in the 80s.
But the thing is, like, they made a bunch of pop... Like, I get it. It's like an internet movie or whatever. You gotta make the pop culture a focus. But, like, they didn't need to in the first game of the video game.
I agree.
It was just to complement the narrative itself.
It definitely plays a bigger role. But it's...
Yeah, so Ralph reads comments, this is nice. It teaches a little bit about cyberbullying a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
I definitely
read comments, don't let it get to you. And he's like, well, I don't need it to. And then he shows like the heart thing he got from Vanellope in the first movie. And he's like, if I have this is the only heart I need. I was like, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I was like, that's a genuinely like emotional moment. But then it gets kind of muddied with like, with the whole like Vanellope wants to stay in the big scary racing game.
Slaughter Race, that's what
Slaughter Race it was called. Though there's no slaughtering, it just seems like an intense racer.
Remember the flamethrower, the guy, the
sure, yeah. This is a weird movie.
She goes to Disney.com.
So they're like,
not actually. It's like
the Oh My Disney app. That's a real app. Oh My Disney, I think, is a real app. And that segment, I mean, I was
fun.
As kind of a Disney nerd. I'm not as intense as some other Disney nerds, but I still consider myself a Disney nerd. I was absolutely eating that segment up for the most part.
I'm just like, why?
Well, I mean, I kind of turned to, and I felt bad because the only other people in this theater was a family behind. There's only like 8 of us. This was a weird like day before it comes out showing. There was maybe a family and then 2 like middle schoolers behind us. Mm-hmm. And I turned to him and I'm doing shield your ears, children. I'm doing like the stroke your ego because on one hand I'm like, this is cute because you're nodding to all of these things that you own as Disney, but you're also just kind of being like, we're Disney. We own they cover.
And they know it's the only movie they can do it with. This is the only one
they cover everything. You got Kermit the Frog. You had Star Wars.
Wait, if Disney is canonical in Wreck-It Ralph's universe, does that mean Wreck-It Ralph exists in the Wreck-It Ralph universe? Sorry, I can't go into plot holes here. There's too many.
There's
a weird paradox.
There is a weird amount of plot holes in this more than the first one.
Right, I just kept pointing them out. I don't remember specifically what I said, but I remember kept turning to you. I'm just like, why can't they just do like? There's no point where Penelope crashes into a building.
Huge point I have to make, and I'll make this in the review too. I think if I do spoilers in the review, I'm not. I still have to write the review. Mm-hmm. But huge point I made in this one. In the first movie, game jumping is a big no.
They resolved that though. They resolved because remember at the end of it they were all like they were fine with it because like they figure the whole reason was Turbo, right? That was the whole reason, and then he's gone, and so then they realized, oh, Ralph did it and nothing too bad happened. Yeah, I figured what probably happened is they put regulations on it.
Yeah, but the thing is with this is it's
like everyone's under because everyone's at Tapper at night, right? Yeah. And then like when you're in the daytime, I guess it's usually you shouldn't do it.
Yeah,
but
I'm sitting there. The whole point, and this is definitely towards spoiler of the ending of the movie. Vanellope never returns to Sugar Rush.
Yeah,
she lives her life in...
She was about to ditch them, like, straight up. She was like, I don't care about the steering wheel. I want to be here. And then, like, she was killed all her
Vanellope ends up in Slaughter Race, living in Slaughter Race.
And then Ralph finds out.
And I was sitting there to myself. I turned to him and just kind of said, game jumping is supposed to be a bad thing, if I remember.
But again, this is kind of like, this is internet.
But like
it's different.
Well, I'm sitting there like, and again, we're nitpicking. This is me nitpicking.
This is a big nitpick. But it's still kind of
it's still kind of important. Gal Gadot's character, I forget her name, Slash.
It was something like that, but it was...
Shank.
That's
her name. Is like the main villain of this game, I think, or like
she's the like she and her like gang are like the
gang
villains.
are like the main antagonist. It's kind of
funny because you introduce them and they're like, oh, they're big bad guys, and it's like they're just chill people.
Like they're just. But the thing is, my only point with this complaint about Vanellope ending up there is like, does no one notice that just halfway through a game they added a protagonist to the campaign, if you will?
Yeah, and then like the girl on the side of the arcade cabinet showed up.
Yeah.
Disappeared.
Yeah.
Showed up again. Disappeared.
There's a lot of problems. Some of them nitpicky, I think, but like.
Well, the first movie didn't have all of that. Like,
yeah.
There was probably some things I could poke, but nothing as big as like.
Yeah.
That.
So going back to that Disney sequence. I do want to talk about that for a second, just because, first of all, in my mind, this is just a general comment on Disney. The self-aware shit is getting so weird lately.
Yeah.
Because, like...
all the Disney princesses, like, saw Vanellope's sweatshirt. They're like, we want one. So they're all in casual clothing. I'm like, what's going on?
Because it's like... Frozen...
She went there to get more clicks for Ralph.
Frozen started this idea, or this indirect idea of Disney being aware of the fact that some of their more fairy tale stories don't translate into the modern, like, how would you...
They're very fairy tale-esque is the best way I'm going to put it.
Yeah, they're very fairy tale-esque, so there's always a big, strong male protagonist. But this almost felt like... breaking a fourth wall, if you will. Hey guys, sorry, had a little interruption. So I was going on this point about, I don't know if you have anything to say on this, Mike, but like I'm just finding it. I loved it. I could love Disney to death. It was just, it was really.
It was a bit of sniffing their own ass a little bit.
Yeah, it was sniffing their own ass, and it was just this mix of like, they're making fun of their tropes while doing their tropes, but like. To the point where, like, in Frozen, as much as
he sings. I'm sorry to cut you off.
As much as I don't like Frozen, I give it credit for being a clever mix of, like, doing the tropes, but also acknowledging when the tropes don't work. But this was, like, this weird, warped, like, it is a trope, but it's also mocking the trope. But it knows it's mocking the trope, but it is the trope. Like,
yeah, it's a little weird.
It's
enjoyable and it's fun. It's just but if you put any thought into it, it's like okay.
Yeah, because it's like she meets the Disney princesses,
and then you think, why?
And it's like that's kind of cool. That's a cool idea, but like it's done kind of weird. I thought.
I don't know. It's like
also just a weird little bit of insanity. Stan Lee cameos in this?
Oh, right, yeah. They bump into, like, one of, like, the pop figure-looking dudes, and it's, like, Stan Lee, and I'm like, whoa, hey, that's pretty cool.
And then, of course, we're just also like, oh.
Yeah, right? Groot was doing a Q&A.
Groot was doing... I love that. But, like, it was... that was such a weird... Because first, I just, as a Disney person, was like, there's that reference. They have they work in the damn Pixar A113 reference.
Well, it's also it's like Ready Player One. You look hard enough, and everywhere there's like something new. I've had a lot of fun picking out the Easter eggs and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like that.
But then at one point he brought this up, and this hurt. So they do the Disney princesses are like, to figure out what you want, you have to look at a body of water and sing.
Important body of water.
I've never noticed that was a trope in Disney princess movies.
It really is.
I genuinely never noticed that.
Then Vanellope tries to sing and it's cringy, of course, but whatever.
Because it's like and
we know there's a music number coming, and I'm just like, no, this doesn't.
I turned to Mike and just went, hold me.
It's not.
Because, like, on one hand, it's funny because I know they're making fun of those tropes. But on the other hand, I'm just like...
how far is too far, right?
Yeah, you broke the fourth wall, built it up, and then broke it again, and then, like, urinated on the fourth wall.
So, yeah, and then she's all depressed, and then Ralph finds out that she's, like, wants to leave.
Yeah.
And he's all clingy and like that's an issue. I'll explain later. But so yeah.
I mean, that's kind of it. Like the rest of the movie is
Vanellope sings a number, and it's like, if they chose anything, I guess it was fine for her to sing whatever she did. And then,
and Sarah Silverman didn't make my ears bleed with her singing.
No, I think Gal Gadot may have been using slight auto-tune, but I don't at me on that.
But I don't know. I have to say, like, just a quick random thought. I liked Gal Gadot in this. She doesn't have a huge role,
but
like,
she's a really likable character. She did good voice acting. She's a good driver.
I like Gal Gadot a lot. She hasn't been doing too much besides.
I like the hippie murderer dude.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Fun. You still have value, butcher. Like I was like, yeah, that was funny.
There's a lot of clever things going on with this movie. I can't deny it.
Then the main central conflict comes around. So Ralph finds out Vanellope wants to leave through some like he has like a little phone he can call her on, but he's muted, but he can hear the conversation going on. That cliche thing. And so he's like, I gotta make her hate the game, and I'm like, no, this is going down every plot I ever hate ever. And so he goes to the dark web to get a virus to slow down the game. I'm not even joking. That's exactly what he wants to do.
Well, the rationale of that, for some reason, they didn't even explain that plot point well.
No, they didn't. He's just like, I want to just slow down the cars with a virus. And no one told him, buddy, that's not how viruses work. And the virus preys on insecurities, and it's meant to be in the code. But we all know it's going to have a double entendre, and it hurts me.
Because it's like...
it hurts me so much. Because the whole, the main thing now is Ralph doesn't want to be separated from Vanellope because they've been together for so long now. And, they're, best friends or whatever, and he doesn't want to leave her. Okay, base plot point, good lesson to teach kids how to deal with a friendship that might lead you to separate paths. That's fine, whatever. I can get down to clown with that.
Miguel and I are at different colleges right now.
I don't try to set fire to your college to be
exactly.
It's hyperbole. I know it is. I know.
But it really just
it's dumb hyperbole.
It feels out of character for him almost.
Yeah, because after all that, he's never been clingy.
Yeah,
I can understand she's the one friend, but Ralph's made friends after the first. Everyone liked him after the first.
Yeah,
movie. He was the
hero. Him and Felix share a genuine moment before the quest begins.
I like it. I like the B plot though. I like Felix and
I like that little touch of at one point when all of the Sugar Rush people become homeless. Or gameless, homeless. They have to get relocated, and
Felix and
people
Calhoun.
take everybody else, but the 15 racers, and I didn't realize they're all supposed to be kids.
You didn't?
So sort of. I knew that they were supposed to be not
teenagers kind of deal.
Yeah, well, the way that they talk instead of
They talk like bratty teens, but it's
But apparently they're supposed to be 10-year-olds.
So Felix and Calhoun decide to take them in, become their quote unquote parents, and then
adopt them.
They don't spend too much time on it, which I'm glad. But it's the moments we do is really funny because Felix turns to drinking root beer, but it's
supposed to be beer.
It's funny.
And in Jack McBride, my God, could they not afford to give them more? But Jane Lynch, they must have spent just 20 minutes of time in the studio with Jane Lynch because she has all of 6 lines and she's one of the funniest parts of the first movie.
Yeah.
But
to be fair, I don't think that with this as it is, I'm glad they didn't ruin that for me.
Yeah, I agree, but
they could have added some marital disputes between them as the B plot.
But no, they were just
they could have and they didn't.
Here's they're gonna rate, and the payoff to the joke is funny. I have to admit. Yeah. But we won't get into that because we're kind of
we're on a tangent right now. But it's
But definitely, the plot once you get to the climax.
So the virus, obviously looks for the glitch, and the glitch is Vanellope does a whole bunch of crap, almost shuts down the game. She finds out. She's really mad at Ralph they almost not friends anymore. You know, think of the most cliche garbage, and that's it. And then it like
the virus is in the internet now.
Yeah,
which I don't think that's how that works.
No, but you know, whatever. It looks for more insecurities. It looks at Ralph, and oh boy, he's full of insecurities.
He's
so it
literally
him.
It shows 100% insecure, and I'm like,
he's got at least 1% muscle.
And so it literally starts cloning Ralph, but like zombie Ralph.
I can't borderline like horny Ralph, like
a little bit,
like very creepy, very like clingy, like brainless as usual, but you know, whatever.
And I guess it's trying to
It's trying to be like, don't be too clingy and don't do crap. Don't make bad decisions because you care about some things that the first movie covered already.
Yeah. And the climax is...
They form a giant Ralph.
Which was objectively funny.
It was funny, look at. But I'm just like, what am I looking at? Mind you, the cyberbugs in the first game, in the first movie... They made sense in world, you know what I mean? Like that's the whole like point of like whatever. This is just here it is. Take our plot, bitches.
And like, it's just like Vanellope talks it down.
They're saying we don't have to. That almost kills Ralph, and she's like, yeah, I can be your only friend. He's like, I don't want it's very. And I kept turning to Eddie, and I kept poking my nose. I'm like. That's what we call in the business on the nose.
Yeah. Unfortunately, where the first movie, the grand emotional not tearjerker, but like for us, we agree it's that the moment where Ralph is going to sacrifice himself to make the Cola Mountain go.
He comes to terms with himself.
And
he's
like,
happy with
it's
who
literally,
he is. And the dumb
it's such a
chant
beautifully shot. Yeah.
The dumb, boring chant at the beginning becomes something more meaningful.
And he's falling and he's reciting the bad guy affirmation. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
That scene is so... Because I just watched it last night. That
still
scene...
gets tears out of me.
Yeah, it gives you... Because, like, in that moment, without saying it, you're realizing that Ralph has realized, like, as long as... I mean, it's weird how this movie takes it. He kind of is realizing... As long as one person likes me...
As long as I like myself.
And as long as I like myself...
Who cares what people think?
Who cares what people think? But they do it in a...
You can see it in his face. He's reciting it just to give himself like the courage to bust into the mountain. And then by the end of it, there's no one I'd rather be. And then he looks down, looks forward, then me. And you can see like in his face, like, boom, he gets it. He understands it.
Yeah.
There is the fucking plot. You don't need to tell me that I need to make
something
friends.
That I always hear in other people's reviews is show, don't tell.
And they did a lot of telling.
And the thing is, it is a visualization of Vanellope confronting with how to set boundaries with Ralph.
Yeah.
And Ralph accepting that. But it is a very...
In your face and
very they're telling you what the message is and not showing it to you.
And that brought me to, after I got out of the movie, I did some thinking and it clicked. It was like, this is way more meant for kids than the first one.
Absolutely.
And it's like the first one,
we agree on that.
Everyone has that internal, like everyone can have that internal conflict. Like, do I not belong? What's going on in my life? Am I the villain? That kind of thing. Not to that extent maybe, but everyone has that. It's an insecurity, which this movie goes over too, but it doesn't say it. It doesn't say insecurity. It says, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
So, and everyone can have that. But this movie is like, oh, friends are drifting apart. And which is fine. Everyone can have that.
Yeah.
But most people know how to deal with that as adults. Yeah. It's more for kids that are like, if you're leaving school, how do you keep that friendship in
I agree. So, I mean, that's kind of the plot. We did more of a deep dive than I thought we would. But there's a lot to unpack throughout the entire plot of that movie.
Yeah.
And again, there were still heartwarming moments, I thought. There was still a lot of really good... Like I said...
It was soured because it didn't...
I again, overall, I liked it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I know I'm downplaying it a lot, but we generally had a lot of laughs. We laughed a lot. I felt the emotion, but not as much as before.
And the thing is, I guess this can kind of dive off into a discussion about Disney as a whole, or just the art of writing a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Because a sequel, when it comes to movies, a sequel's inherently hard to do.
It is, because how do you build upon the first
one? How do you build upon it? How much do you reference old? Like,
Shrek 2 is the perfect sequel. And there's a video online about that. I forget who made it, but look it up. It is, like, whatever.
So, again, there's effort everywhere.
Yeah, this isn't like a throwaway. This isn't no Emoji Movie.
Yeah, this isn't the Emoji Movie where they're just like, popular, make.
But you can tell they were running out of ideas.
The people at Disney, I feel like there wasn't a story before there was a concept. If that makes sense.
They were like, well, what movie? You could tell they wanted to make an internet movie, right? But the Emoji Movie didn't have a base, so they took something like, what movie franchise can we dig into that with? Ralph is the only one that could have done it.
Yeah.
If they did like Toy Story 4 breaks the internet,
yeah.
I mean, I could see it happening.
Wreck-It Ralph is the only one
which is a shame, because like, I mean, they could have done it better, obviously, but like, it was good for what it did.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, there are 100 times worse movies than Ralph Breaks the Internet. There's worse movies to show your kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Illumination's The Grinch is out right now. That's probably much worse to show your kids than this.
And it's like, going back to like the emotional stuff, like at the end of it, they like say goodbye to each other because Penelope actually stays in slaughter race, and Ralph goes back.
That was a good scene.
It was a good scene, but it was like I turned to you and I was like, imagine if they cut the big scary Ralph and put something a little more subtexty on it. And they like if I'm just spitballing an idea here, if like he lost her through like the dark web or something like that, or something like more cohesive and grounded, that would have made it a lot better for me, because I just went through this giant video game boss fight where he used the Pinterest tech to
I jokingly, when they made the big Ralph, I just turned to him and said, "You've reached the boss level.
Phase 2 activate." And I was like, no.
And it's like
it's more, I would say it's more fun based than like heart based.
Yeah.
But that's like, I liked the heart of the first one. I still had a lot of fun with it too.
Oh yeah. And so I mean, that's kind of it. I'm trying to think of what else to like say before we kind of wrap up.
You're gonna use your review, so you don't give your score, but I'll give my score 3.5, leaning on the good side of average, I'll say.
Yeah, I won't give it, just so you guys don't just
have a reason to watch your review.
Yeah, so you guys. But I mean, just overall, we can kind of just. So to sum up for me, yeah, I liked it more than I didn't like it, but it definitely. It did lean more towards the side of corporate Disney than really awesome creative Disney. And that is unfortunate, because I think Wreck-It Ralph, I really do think Wreck-It Ralph is the awesome creative side of Disney, the first movie. Mm-hmm. But this one definitely felt like, again, I think there was a premise before there was an actual, they said, make a story with Ralph and Penelope going into the internet.
And they had to make something around that.
And I think they did a good enough job.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it was as good as it could have been all in all. There were parts I liked. There were parts I didn't. It's a strong enough story, I think, to see, but I mean...
I wouldn't watch it again, though.
I'm not going to buy... I own the first one. I'm not going to buy the second one.
Because it's like the first one I can watch over and over and over again, but this one it's like, I've seen it. It's cool.
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't need... And, like, it's weird because the Disney stuff I've seen this year has been they've been crushing it this year with what they've... I mean, minus Solo, but that's Lucasfilm. But that's
I like Solo. That's a different.
Solo was good. That's a whole different conversation. But like, you look at a completely different story. But like Christopher Robin,
Christopher Robin was fantastic. Oh my god,
was using a character you know and love to tell a story that's been told, but it was
essentially a sequel too. So.
Yeah. Disney. It was more middle of the road. Yeah, that was good.
It's
Disney.
like, Disney throws one of those out every now and then.
And I mean, they have a ton this year.
Yeah.
Because I forget what they did in the first quarter of the year, if they did anything like... I feel like all...
They probably did. Infinity War? Do you count that?
I mean, maybe you can count Infinity War because most of Disney was focused on that. I mean, they were going through the Fox acquisition at that point, so...
Yeah.
And then you had Christopher Robin, you have Nutcracker in the Four Realms.
Yeah, that looks so whack. Oh my god.
There were so many.
All the trailers were Disney.
All the trailers were Disney movies. So he and I both got caught up on a bunch of trailers that we didn't see. Some of them I didn't see. Some of them he didn't see. Some of them neither of us haven't seen. The Aladdin 2 trailer. Or the Aladdin
Aladdin 2 trailer.
The live action Aladdin remake sucked. That was not a good trailer.
It looks like it's going to be funny.
It looks like it could be funny, but they weirdly did a...
Dumbo looks good.
Dumbo looks good, but like... Disney has a lot right now, and I didn't see Nutcracker in the Four Realms. I kind of wanted to because Morgan Freeman's in it.
Remember the Tarzan remake that came out last year that no one saw?
I didn't see it, but
that's not how Wreck-It Ralph feels. It's like that Tarzan plus 5.
I have to say that like Disney right now, they are back to, if you will, producing so many movies right now.
Yeah, because they have a whole bunch of properties and now we're in the remaster era when it comes to games and movies, so we're just like popping out everything. We had Incredibles 2. That's what I was thinking of.
Incredibles 2 was the Pixar film this year.
Yeah,
great, by the way. But like Disney has so much right now that, and again, I haven't seen Nutcracker in the Four Realms. I assume it's not that great because I haven't heard like anybody raving about it.
It's probably like the Alice in Wonderland remake.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's like, this exists. It's okay.
So, like, I definitely think that it's inevitable that Disney's not going to hit home runs every single time. I mean, to use a baseball analogy, I think this is like a single.
Yeah, they either hit home runs or, like, balls.
Yeah. So, like, this one definitely, and I just hope, for the sake of just in general Disney having a good year.
If they come out with a Wreck-It Ralph 3, I'm done.
I'm not. I gotta pass on the Wreck-It Ralph 3.
There can't be. I know there will be, but there can't be.
Here's hoping that Mary Poppins Returns is good. Yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts. Again, I'll have that. If you want to, you did a good job of saying your thoughts. If you want to just give a last minute, final closing thoughts before we wrap up.
This movie's got a lot going for it, but it's got a lot going against it too. And I felt like the conflict was my biggest thing. My biggest problem was the cliche and underthought climax and conflict, central conflict. I mean, so and if a movie's conflict is lacking, it reflects on the rest of the movie, and that's what I was like. A lot of my fears that I talked to you about before I saw the movie, some of them came to light, and I was like, damn. Because you can do a classy internet movie. I probably couldn't write it because I'm not that good at writing pop culture. But I don't know. I wouldn't watch it again. But I'm leaning on the good side of the average. Like I said, 3.5 out of 5. It's all right.
So to just kind of go over for those who listen to the whole thing, our upcoming schedule. I should be getting producer Amanda in. I'm hoping Saturday to shoot the review. So hopefully look for that. Next week, praying to God that nothing goes wrong on her end, like it did with the Hellfest trailer. Then once we hit December, I don't know when producer Amanda comes back, but we know when Mike comes back. So I'm going to have the whole staff back for our winter session. We're looking to do a bunch and to just kind of go over the schedule and follow us on at EJK Reviews on Instagram to see more of a clear schedule. But roughly our schedule will be, at the very minimum, I am going to be doing a review of Anna and the Apocalypse, which, look it up if you haven't heard of it. That's all I'll say. Depending on his schedule, we might do this again for that if we have enough thoughts for it.
End of the year stuff, right?
And then our end of the year, we have a lot of ideas for the end of the. We're going to do a traditional end of the year awards, and at the very least, he and I will be we'll be doing a end of the year awards podcast,
similar to like this, where we like discuss our like thoughts, and then he does a cleaner video on it afterwards.
So, and what we're hoping to do, no promises, but we are hoping to get producer Amanda in as well to kind of have a round table from our whole staff.
We're making her play all the games from this year.
Because we had a...
EJK plays. Let's go. Let's play.
I have weirdly been told that I have a good voice and good commentary to possibly do Let's Plays, but I don't want to branch out yet. But yeah, that's kind of our rough schedule. Look for all that. And then there's a couple December movies that I might be doing reviews on. But yeah, thanks, buddy, again, as always, for joining us on this. We'll see you in our next video, and I'll see you in the review. Thanks, guys.